You knew this was coming. How could I put Hollywood's best to the test without doing this one? You know what I'm talking about, right? No? Here's a clue. A team of mercenaries is dropped into the jungle to recover a downed helicopter crew. Pretty soon they realize they're being stalked by a lethal, invisible alien. And one by one, the guys are eliminated, till only Schwarzenegger is left to go mano a mano. This episode on Hollywood Weapons, we're putting Predator to the test. Stick around. Stick around. I'm Terry Schappert, and as a 23-year U.S. Army Green Beret veteran, combat medic, sniper, and close combat specialist, I've been tested most of my life. I'm here to put Hollywood to the test. This is Hollywood Weapons. All right, now if there is an ultimate guy movie, it just might be Predator. The whole idea is great. A team of warrior brothers stalked by this deadly alien they can't even see. Can you imagine that? Yeah, that would suck. Now, by the time Schwarzenegger did this movie, he was already a bona fide action hero and a really huge star. So, far be it from me to question Arnold. There's a really cool scene in this movie that I do wonder about. In their first big encounter with the alien, Schwarzenegger and the guys, they panic, and Mac, played by the awesome Bill Duke, grabs a minigun and empties a backpack of ammo, knocking everything down in the jungle. So, can you really do that? Shh. Hey. Did you see that? I think I better move. All right. You know what time it is? Shap's knucklehead science. So, let's talk about this weapon of choice, minigun. The minigun is a 6-barrel rotary electric machine gun chambered in 7.62 by 51 millimeter NATO, firing 3,000 rounds a minute. This is a devastating weapon. It was used as far back as Vietnam, typically mounted on a helicopter. Mounted is the key word here. Now, after his first encounter with the Predator, Mac empties his backpack of ammo, spraying across the jungle, cutting down trees, plants, vines, absolutely everything, the whole time holding this gun in his hands. So, can you clear-cut a jungle with a minigun? I think it's time I go see Larry because this place is creeping me out. This place is creeping me out. As always, my quest leads me to ISS and Larry Zanoff, who has an annoying amount of knowledge and is not afraid to share it. Hey, Larry.
Terry, what are you doing here?
What do you mean, what am I doing here? I want to do another test. Why else would I come here?
Well, I don't know. Usually you want me to do a test with you by jumping out of the bushes at me or calling me out on some kind of stupid wild goose chase. And, you know, it's just kind of bizarre for me to see you walking up to the counter like this.
Not in love with your tone. All right. Okay, I was going to take you to the jungle, but I just got back. Bad vibe. So the other night, I was watching Predator, and there's this scene where they take a minigun and basically clear-cut the jungle. You're familiar with that, right?
I know that scene pretty well. In fact, I was the lead armor on the last Predator movie. It was a sequel called Predators.
Yeah, of course. Is there anything you haven't worked on?
Follow me.
All right, as a trained observer, I can definitely tell you that was not the gun in Predator.
Nothing gets by you, does it, Schappert?
Thank you.
Yeah, this obviously is a model 1874 hand-cranked Gatling gun. Richard Gatling invented the idea of a multi-barrel gun, revolving barrel cluster, which gave it a much higher rate of fire for that day and age. This, in fact, is ground zero for the concept of the minigun. Multiple barrels in a revolving barrel cluster, high rate of fire, all out of one weapon system.
Wow, so you're saying that the guy who invented this also invented our modern-day minigun?
That's exactly what I'm saying, Terry. Follow me.
You see what I mean? It's kind of annoying. All right, Now we are talking.
Yeah, we were talking minigun, M134, original General Electric model there, and the newer Garwood Industries version right here.
Well, look, we see him on the A-10 Warthog, our best friend in ground combat, and also we have these mounted on our vehicles too.
Yeah, fantastic A-10 Warthog, right? That whole plane was designed simply to lift that multi-barrel 30-millimeter gun. Huge. It's about the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, right? So when they scaled it down for use by infantry on vehicles, Humvees, things like that, they made a mini version. That's why this is called the minigun, because it's a mini version of the larger 30-millimeter Gatling.
Nice. So the question is for us is, could this actually clear cut a bunch of vegetation like we saw in the film?
Well, I think with the high rate of fire in this weapon and the fact that it's got the highest shot density of any small arms out there, you probably could actually cut down the jungle foliage with it.
Shot density, what do you mean?
How about looking at this? If I have a zone I need to cover and I've got a normal weapon, let's say like an M60, when I fire it, notice how I got gaps between the bullets?
Right.
Because it's only shooting maybe 700 rounds a minute. But with the minigun, when I'm shooting 50 rounds a second, the same distance, I have this uninterrupted flow of firepower. So it's like a blade constantly cutting through the foliage. With that kind of shot density, you could probably do what you see in the movie for real.
I appreciate that visual, man. That helped.
Yeah, absolutely. So we obviously have the guns, right?
Yep.
We've got the ammo.
Check.
To know for sure, we got to go out to the range and test it. So all we have to do is get you to figure out a jungle forest to cut down.
That should be easy.
Now, I have gone ahead and I have a special guest involved in this particular test.
Really?
I'll text you his information in a little bit, but I want you to talk to this gentleman, get his opinions on this test, and then meet me out at the range and we can go from there.
That's awesome, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Larry.
Yes.
I'll be back.
Yeah, that's the wrong movie, Terry.
So annoying. It never ceases to amaze me how much that guy knows. Seriously, his head's too small for all those numbers. And here he goes surprising me again. You are not gonna believe who I am on my way to go see right now. Nope, I'm gonna make you wait. Promise, trust me, it's worth it. Larry said he had a big surprise, and as usual, he came through. I'm not just randomly wandering the streets of Hollywood. I'm here to meet the actor who played Mac, who is the character that shot the gun we're about to go test.
Good to
Bill
see you.
Duke, man, what a cool day. Sit down.
Thank you, brother.
Because I'm gonna bother you.
Good, bother.
For a little while.
all good.
Thanks for taking the time to
my
talk
pleasure.
to the knucklehead. All right. If people don't know who Bill Duke is, you're an idiot. I mean, you're kind of one of those guys, to me, a really iconic kind of action character. And I also know you're not just that. You know, you're a classically trained actor. You got a great pedigree, you know, from stage and stuff. Well, let's get to the gun stuff, because we got to do it because it's Hollywood weapons.
Okay.
So there's a scene in Predator, which is really iconic, actually. You know, Jesse Ventura gets killed. Mac, your character, picks up the minigun and just. It's like you see the switch flicked in your character's brain right there. It's on, and you just spray across. What was it like physically? Were you ready for it? The weight, the actual mechanism of the gun. What was going on there?
Well, they put it on helicopters. So I was the helicopter for that time. When I picked that thing up, when you see my face in pain, I was trying to.
Legit, it was legitimate.
Oh, it was real.
It was legitimate. No acting there.
No, I was trying to hold on to that and keep it going at the same time.
Right.
But it was really heavy.
All right, Bill, so what we do here is not just get into the special effects part, which I think is eminently interesting. We're actually use a real minigun to cut down real trees, just like the jungle. Maybe yes or no, what do you think?
More than yes. I mean, with that power and those many bullets, there's no doubt. You can cut down anything.
Well, I agree with you. If I didn't agree with you, I'd still agree with you because it's Bill Duke. But I'm just saying, I think so too. Mm-hmm. I promise you, whether you want me to or not, I will stalk you and make sure I give you the answer. I won't be able to duplicate your acting ability, but hopefully we'll have some fun and see if it really works. But I gotta ask one more thing, because I'm getting ready to go do it. Do you have any final advice for me?
If it bleeds, you can kill it.
Wow, Bill Duke. How cool was that? All right, now his stories and perspective on that film were a gift. And I gotta say, it's nice to know that someone whose work I respect is such a nice person. Now, I've been thinking about this test, and two things come to mind right away. One, can you shoot a minigun by hand? And B, would it cut down all that vegetation? I gotta find a place to do the test. Do you ever feel like you're being followed? No. All right, this isn't the place to do it. It's not a controlled environment, so I think I'm gonna make a jungle of my own somewhere. And I know the place to do it, so why don't you meet me there, because I got something I gotta take care of. Larry and the crew have actually constructed a small jungle. Everything is set up and ready to test the scene from Predator. So can I actually mow down a jungle using a minigun like Mac did in the movie? What's up, Larry?
Hey, Terry. What is that on your bag?
Yeah. If it bleeds, we can kill it. By the way, Bill Duke, awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I thought you might like that.
That was great.
We actually have another little surprise planned for you today, too, so stay on your toes.
What is it? What do you got? What do you got?
You know, if I tell you now, it's just going to spoil the party, so just keep your eyes open.
Fine. What do we have here?
Well, we've got our jungle here. That's our target, of course. And here we've got our 1874 Gatling gun. We've used it on many different shows, Last Samurai, 310 to Yuma, Jonah Hex, etc.
Listen, not that I'm not happy to see this little feller, but why'd you bring him out?
There's three main reasons that I brought it out. You know, the first one is we're talking about the minigun. And like we said, this is the origin of the minigun. So it's like Gatling gun versus minigun, old versus new,
Good one.
Secondly, of course, when you watch these things in the movies, these guys are just cranking away and cranking away. They never run out of ammunition.
Non-stop ammo forever.
That's not the reality of it.
No.
So I wanted it out here to show you the reality of it.
That's awesome. So 3.
Any chance to shoot a Gatling gun? I mean, come on.
Don't have to argue with that.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to be using the stick magazines. We've got 40 rounds of 45-70 in it. Let's load up a stick and crank off a couple of rounds, see what we get.
By the way, that did go pretty fast.
The gun's firing at a rate of about 2 to 250 rounds a minute.
Yeah.
Right? So your 40 rounds in a stick magazine, that's like 4 to 5 seconds worth of gunfire, and then you're done.
Well, in the movies, it goes on and on and on, which we know is BS. The other thing was, it does take a little bit of muscle, and I think more importantly was the rhythm. You know, you have to, once you get the rhythm, it will go, but...
Why don't we go down range and see what kind of damage we did?
All right.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, boy, bro, that guy didn't make it.
So we think of the Gatling gun as a machine gun that you're spraying back and forth. They thought of the Gatling gun as a piece of artillery. All that firepower going to one little point. You can see there's no damage on either side of this tree. It was just a cone of fire coming down that knocked this guy down.
Onto the minigun?
Onto the minigun, I'll go get it ready, and I'll see you over there.
All right. That was great to get to fire a piece of actual history, and that is the precursor to the minigun. So, coming up next on Hollywood Weapons, we're going to cut some trees down. I'm awful. Here we are in the middle of nowhere, getting ready to test a scene from the movie Predator. Now, we've already shot the Gatling gun, and that was great, but I can't wait to get my hands on the minigun. As you can see, my team has done a great job of setting up a jungle behind me, so now it's time for me to take that minigun in my hands and sweep across the jungle, cutting down all that vegetation like Bill Duke's character Mac did in Predator.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that.
Huh?
You can't actually shoot a minigun handheld. In the movies, they can do it, but that's movie magic. Can't do it for real.
Seriously?
Seriously, when you shoot 3,000 rounds a minute out of a weapon like that, you're creating 296 foot-pounds of rearward thrust. That means, Terry, that if you weighed 296 pounds, it would actually knock you over. We're not doing that.
You're right, but you're bringing me down.
Yeah, I knew you'd feel that way, so in order to keep you happy, here's what I've done. We've got the gun set up with blanks. We'll be able to put the backpack on you, the gun, the batteries, the ammunition, just like it was in the movie, so you can feel some of that magic that happened on screen.
I feel better.
I knew you would. Let's get you suited up. Push it.
This is actually really heavy, Larry.
Yeah, well, luckily for you, it's only going to last about 5 or 6 seconds. So when you're ready, fire at will.
Thanks for looking after me.
3 spins.
After firing the minigun handheld, I realized that Larry is right. There is no way I could hold that thing with live rounds. It would twist out of my hands, and that's not safe.
Okay, weapons clear.
Awesome. But you were right. It was kind of like hanging on to an alligator.
Yeah, imagine doing that now with live ammunition in it.
No.
Not safe.
All right, so how do we do it? Test like the movie. Tripod?
Exactly. We're gonna set up a tripod with spade grip gun. I'll go get that ready and I'll meet you in a few minutes.
My man. Now that I know I could never control it in my hands, the crew sets up the minigun on a tripod to find out if I can clear the jungle like Bill Duke did in the movie. Uh-huh. Looks like the same gun.
Yeah, pretty much the same gun. We've got some longer barrels on it, of course. We've got spade grips now.
Yep.
And of course, it's mounted on a much more stable tripod. Holding that thing, like you said, it's a wild alligator. So for safety reasons, we've got it set up like this. You're shooting 3,000 rounds a minute this time. Oof. Way, way more volume of fire than what we did with the Gatling gun. So we're gonna shoot at our little jungle there, and we're gonna see what happens.
Thank you. So do I need to tell you people not to shoot your minigun at a jungle? All right, man.
Now, remember that surprise we talked about?
How you doing, my brother?
Oh, man!
Good to see you, man.
He did this.
My friend right here, man.
Oh,
Thank you, man.
man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I can't
it.
believe you came out here. It's perfect.
No, I just wanted to see what you said in the program and everything. I just wanted to see how it goes and if you guys doing. By the way, you got it easy, man. I used to have to carry mine.
Well, you missed it. I did get to shoot it like you did, but it was, yeah, you actually did it better.
No different.
No, you were better. But I promise you I'll try to make you proud on this one.
Okay, let's try it. See what
I can't believe you came out, man.
Love it, man.
Well, we got weapons. Now we got Hollywood.
Let's do it. Armed.
Okay, weapons armed. We're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, fire.
Oh my gosh.
That was good.
Oh, well, I don't know.
I think I did a little better, though.
I know you did a little bit
I
better.
held mine like this, you know what I'm
And
saying?
first of all, you did it by hand, and second, everything you were shooting at was getting dissolved. So it's hard to see a little bit where you're landing. So to make sure I was where I wanted to be, I actually was tracking down by that berm so I could see the rounds hitting. Then I went across and across. It wasn't dropping, you know, but...
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we have the weapons, but sometimes it does take Hollywood to make those effects occur.
It looked a lot cooler when Bill did.
Well, of course,
Don't
he's
take it
Bill Duke,
personally. It's okay.
you know?
It's okay. It's all right.
The real test is going to be what we see on the back side of the jungle. So
right.
let's go downrange and see what the hits might have
do it.
been.
All right,
do
guys. So at first glance visually, reality is much different from the movies. But how much damage did we actually do? Let's go take a look.
Okay, so what we can see here is that even with this dense jungle, you see a lot of the leaves there where we actually have bullet holes through them.
Right through.
But it's very kind of loose kind of foliage, so it didn't actually cut anything down. But when it does hit a stalk of any substance, it actually cuts right through it. And so we can all agree that this would have been a decapitated predator.
What do you think?
Yeah, good job, brother. Good job.
Well,
Good job.
here's what I would say. Bill Duke did it way sexier.
Absolutely.
We know that, but we know this is devastating. Anything back behind this line of foliage is done.
Done.
So, successful test?
I think so.
Successful
Good
test?
job, man. Let's get back to the chopper.
Oh, way to loop that in. So we learned the history of the minigun by testing the Gatling gun. We also fired the handheld minigun using blanks, which was a lot harder than I thought. And the mounted minigun with live rounds was more powerful than I ever imagined. All right, what do we learn today? Mac can fire a minigun handheld, but nobody else in the world can. The jungle, nothing back there would be standing, including the Predator, and the minigun did just what we saw in the movie. Predator, Easily one of the best sci-fi and action movies of all time. And I think what makes it great for me is that it's about a team of guys who keep fighting for each other, even as one by one they're killed, leaving Schwarzenegger left to prove the line, if it bleeds, you can kill it. Huge thank you to my team and Larry, and a big thank you to Bill Duke for being such a big part of it. So, if you're watching a scene and you think to yourself, can you really do that? Go to outdoorchannel.com/HollywoodWeapons and maybe, just maybe, we'll put it to the test.